Hey guys, just a little footnote to this episode of Scotty Doesn't Know. We did have some technical difficulties kind of mid and end. So there is definitely some drop conversation, some pickup conversation, and trying to kind of piece it all together. This was one of the reasons why we're seeing the at home studio. Wes is going on. The poor Mac has had a terrible time, and we're slowly looking at getting things fixed and getting back to normal. But as of now, I thank you for your patience, and just the quality of the episode may be a little different this week. But again, as I say, it's still a great conversation with Jordan. I thank Jordan for his patience while we were figuring out our technical difficulties. So I really hope you still enjoy the episode. Like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next episode. Thanks.
In 1930, the Republican-controlled House of Representatives, in an effort to alleviate the effects of anyone.
We've all seen that person that knows it all. You know that guy that knows everything? Well, that's not what you're getting here. I'm a know-nothing kind of guy, just trying to broaden my horizons. Join me on my journey of Scotty Doesn't Know. Hey, you know-it-alls. How's it going today? We're going to go a little different and kind of have a general chit-chat with a guy that's been out of province for a little while. Came back to visit, and I'm like, man, you got to come on the podcast. So with that, cheers. What's going on?
Not a whole lot, Scotty. How are you?
I'm good, Jordan. How are you?
I'm on a 2-week vacation. So
I was
going to
say, thank you for putting some time in to come see me. You're a busy guy in those 2 weeks, aren't you?
Yeah, it's been like 2.5 years since I've been to Peterborough. So
is it really?
Yeah.
You bought me breakfast the last time you were here because I forgot my wallet.
Well, I'm sure it made up for other expenses that you've spent on me. So
No.
over the years. So
maybe.
Yeah.
So you started with the more traditional beer. So that's a little brewery out of Fenland. I think they've been open 3 years now, and they've made a ton of beer, and they're starting to experiment. I think they've gotten used to what their house beers are going to be. That Vienna, they make a red. I'm having the Pilsner today, but then they're getting into seltzers and some sours and some things. So your next one, I'm curious. We'll get your opinion on that for sure if you get it cracked here today.
Yeah.
So we've known each other. Can you count back that many years? I've been at Mark's for 16.
So the other week I had, you get those notifications, memories. 10 years ago I left Mark's,
and you'd been there for
4 years. So 14 years.
So 14 of my 16 years. Yeah. With Mark's. Yeah. And you didn't even get hired as the warehouse manager.
No,
you fell into that job.
Yeah. I applied for the manager position, and actually my friend got it over me, but I was jobless at the time, and the only time I've been jobless in like 16 years. And so I just took a daytime sales associate position,
right?
And because I needed to pay bills, and
it
was the right fit. And then that only lasted for a couple of months, and then that person left.
Yeah, because he got hired with the OPP.
No, Niagara Regional.
Okay.
Yeah, Niagara Regional.
But went to go and be a police officer, and it just fell right into your lap.
Yeah. It was awesome because I had mono. Just and I thought the job got me sick, and then they offered me a promotion. And I was like, maybe the job did get me sick. And this is their way of covering their asses.
Oh yeah, because you know what retail's like. It does kill you slowly.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit each day, right?
Absolutely.
Soul draining work.
Yeah. Mind numbing at times too.
So Yeah, you so you hung out in the warehouse for quite a few years,
Mm-hmm.
and then decided to stretch your legs, and you took off for management at the Gap.
The Gap, yeah, I was at the Gap. There was a very large pay increase to the point where I was kind of shocked that they were willing to pay me that much to leave Mark's, and it sucked because I loved working at Mark's. I love the people I work with.
Well, you think of who was that core group of people that were there then, and I mean that was such a cool group of people.
Yeah,
and we did a ton of stuff together.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I still talk to people from that time, right? I mean, still talk to Reg, still talk to Corey, talk to you, talk to Sam a little bit. Other Sam has come back to Mark's for a little while.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's still people from that time that I'm like, man, they were close enough friends that, right? It's still like, oh my gosh, she's still with Loblaws, Kenwell.
Oh yeah, Stephanie.
Yeah. I mean, right, don't talk to her, but occasionally I'll throw the odd like to her Facebook, but still follow her. And there's another girl down Niagara region, and her name's gonna skip out on me right now too. Shorter, and she was dating a taller blonde fella there. They're not together anymore. I'm totally not gonna peg it.
I'm completely blank.
But I mean, right, there's probably people from the sales floor that I remember.
Yeah, and they were numbers to me.
Yeah, exactly. Right. As soon as you get off, and it's funny too, because this is one of my favorite stories. And especially once you get off the sales floor, anybody that's not in your daily are just people that come in and mess up your warehouse.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. There's the douchebag that took the jeans and didn't brought the cart back and didn't clean it off.
Yeah.
And do you remember what I called Corey for the first like 9 months I knew him?
What the hell did you call him?
It was Travis.
Oh yeah, it was Travis. But on that note, I was also Jason to the owner of the company, and then his wife at one point too. That was my name.
Yeah.
And I was like, I work full time for you and see you
every day,
but my name's Jason.
Yeah. It's interesting. And I'd say sometimes it's just that mindset of when you meet somebody and you get that earworm in your ear and that's what you heard, you're ruined. And you could be like, no, it's Jordan, and it'd be like, oh man, you're always going to be Jason to me.
Yeah.
And that was Corey, because that was when I was on the desk full time. And really same thing, they were just people walking by, and it's like, oh man, that's Travis, and they're like, no, his name's Corey. It's like, he'll always be Travis to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, we partied a lot. Well, you partied a lot.
I partied too much. We were talking about that. Obviously getting together with friends over the weekend. We were talking about the different nights. We would go out in Peterborough. Monday night was Sin City with their team pitchers, $20 team pitchers. So you could get into her, and there was never anybody there.
Right.
Unless it was like a holiday or something. And then Thursday night was Sin City again, and I don't remember what the theme was, but it was a Thursday night. Might as well go out. And then Saturday night, it was either Sin City or the Junction, and then the odd time we would do the Trash or whatever. But yeah, too much. There was times where that definitely affected.
Have you been to, I don't even know what they call it, the Social?
The Social.
Have you been there since they redid Sin?
I want to say a few years ago I went there and had lunch.
Right.
Not sure why I would go there to have lunch, but the nostalgic aspect.
It's definitely different when you go in there and you'd be like, that's where the dance floor was, and that's where I threw up in the bathroom. And I remember, I think that was like, I remember going out for my 30th birthday with you guys.
Yeah.
And getting way too drunk and spending the night at Jed's house. And his wife, who's a dental hygienist, brought me a toothbrush before I fell asleep.
Yeah.
And that was good. And that was everybody. And then I remember one time we pre-drank at Jeremy's house.
Yep. That was a lot, because it was always a walk. It was a quick walk, right?
Yeah. So. And I find, like, right, I didn't nearly, and this is always the thing, right? At that point, I'm 30 and you guys are like 22, 23. There's no sense in keeping up. And then, right, just responsibilities and living out of town and having to go back. And I remember on Charlotte Street, Reggie dropped trow, and I tried to catch him to slap him in the ass.
Yes.
And already been drinking, and was doing well on the sidewalk, and then that transition from sidewalk to road, and got a bit of a wobble and like spilt it.
He looked like he was diving into second base.
Yeah,
everyone.
yeah.
That's what he was trying to do, but like more of a face plant dive, not like a vertical dive.
Not a nice, yeah. And hurt my wrist, and my glasses were on the road, and picked me up, and then we continued to party though.
Well, as you do when you're that drunk, you're not going to realize what you've done to yourself. Until
it doesn't
the next
hurt
day.
until the morning.
No.
And then you used to like, you'd walk home.
Oh, I always walk home because it was the best way to sober up.
And you were just far enough out of downtown that by the time you got up to your house,
yeah,
it was a nice evening walk.
Yeah, because I was notorious for over drinking and not feeling great the next day. So it was a nice way to kind of walk off some of that junk.
Right.
Yeah. So
you know what we should have brought today?
What's that?
Hand grenades.
Oh, we should have brought hand grenades. That was
was that your invention, or did you just bring it to the group?
I want to say that was a Jeremy thing that he taught us from Bracebridge. Right. I feel like, or somebody in his group, but I probably partook in far too many of those to the point where at my sister's wedding that I think I was still working at Mark's when my sister got married, that I showed it to her friends.
Right. At their wedding party.
Yeah.
And you're like, come here. Yeah. You got to see this.
We got to do some hand grenades.
That was you guys were the first time that actually Jaeger bomb and Red Bull in general.
Yeah.
Is where, so I mean, I was 30 plus before I had ever had a Red Bull.
Mm-hmm.
And now probably got a little addicted there for a while.
Yeah.
Probably gave me a heart condition. Jeez. That's what Michelle blames it. So
your wife blames it on me then?
I never threw you under the bus, and now that it's on air, she might.
She might. Okay.
But it's hilarious because, like, right, go to the doctor. He's like, "Oh, you've got a murmur," and I'm like, "Oh, news to me." So go through all this testing, and you're sitting down, with a professional, like. And I'm like, she's like, any family history? And I'm like, no. And she's like, no aunts, no uncles, nobody else has dropped dead like suddenly. And I'm like, no. And she's like, okay. I said, but I did have like a little bit of a spurt of I like energy drinks, like a lot.
Yeah. And
she's like, and then I'm like, I also like supplements when I'm losing weight. And she's like, what kind of, I said, nothing illegal.
Yeah.
But I said, right. I took this and this together. And she's like, well, don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
And she's like, that's probably not a good combination. So, right. It's fine. We do all the testing, get all the blood work back. Echoes, got an internal echo. It's good times. And then she's like, oh, do you want to go for genetic testing? And I'm like, well, I've got 3 kids. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So you go, you get your blood taken. They tell you they're going to call you back in 9 months, and whether you're going to be genetically that somewhere along the ways your parents screwed you over, and that's why you have a heart. Came back clean, bud. 100% my fault.
It's all you.
It's all me. So it's good. So that, I mean, right. Ideally, that means the kids don't have to worry about that, and the granddaughter doesn't have to worry about that. And I didn't have to call my parents and tell them, one of you two.
Yeah,
ruined my heart.
Probably go get tested.
Well, this is because that's the huge thing. They're like, it's not going to necessarily save your life, but you could have, it's 50-50. So if it's your dad, and then he's got 4 siblings, well, more than likely one of them. And then if they have kids, it's a 50-50 chance that their kids have it. So I mean, like, right, I was going to be a saint. Yeah. And be like, oh, I took the bullet and I'm genetically flawed. But that means everybody else needs to go get tested. But nope.
No, lifestyle.
Yeah, I guess.
And I would say I'm probably the same. Like my old man passed away from like heart attacks, multiple. And it was, I wouldn't necessarily say it was genetic because I don't believe anybody else in his family necessarily had those issues. It's probably lifestyle, and I've certainly over the last 2 years probably lived similar lifestyle, minus the smoking.
Right.
I'm not a smoker, so.
So you're telling me you've had a stressful 2 years?
Yeah, slightly stressful.
You still find it stressful, man?
It's so I find it kind of funny when I'm around here and people talk about it being stressful. It's so different when you live in a city of 1 million plus people.
Yeah. So you're it's not just it's everything.
It's everything. Just and even like missing out on sporting stuff that I would normally do.
Good outlet, right? Always a good outlet.
Was playing a lot of hockey before we got shut down. Baseball almost every summer, doing tournaments and stuff like that, and just and then you just kind of miss out on that stuff, and then sometimes you're not motivated to necessarily do things on your own. So
not that I keep track. How old are you now?
34. I'll be 35 by the end of the month.
Crazy.
But
I mean, right, and this is it. As you progress in age and metabolism slows down and just everything, and there's certain key points in your life. You're like, oh, I feel a little worse than I did like from 30 to 35, and then right at 40, you're like, oh, 40 was terrible. And
well, I think back to like the days when we were working at Mark's, and like I didn't have my license at the time, and then I would ride my bike or walk to work every day. My lifestyle was way worse than it is now, but I was in better shape than
for sure
because I was doing that stuff. But we would
evens
garbage, like absolute trash every day.
Right, we'd run down to the mall and get Sizzlin' Walk. I haven't had Sizzlin' Walk in forever. So good.
They have a similar one in my mall. Oh, and I feel like garbage after eating it.
And so you should.
Yeah.
But it's delicious going down.
Yeah.
That's also another story I tell about you is the
shocker.
The shocker gloves.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yep. And we were going through one of our vendors and going through their catalog, not anything that we ever carry. And we're like, can we order these? And there was a pair of gloves called the Shocker. And you're like, I'll get 2.
Yeah. I got a white pair and a black pair. The black pair is falling apart. I still have the white pair perfect condition because I don't wear them that often. Because I was wearing them as like biking gloves.
Yeah.
They're meant to be like a spring skiing glove, but they're almost too thin for that even. And I don't like spring skiing. Just asking for my knees to get destroyed again.
Right.
So they're still sitting in my ski bag.
Nice.
Perfect condition. I guess I wear them sometimes when I'm driving out in the mountains and stuff like that, just to kind of have something. So I'm not holding a cold leather steering wheel.
I'd love to pass you and like you're at 10 and 2 and you look over and I'm like, was his pinky pink?
So the funny thing is I want to say a couple years after I left Mark's, I was out at one of the ski hills in Sunshine and they were selling them.
Nice.
And I just was laughing. I just had a good laugh. And
You're I'm like,
do I need to buy more of them? No. They're also selling them for probably $40 more than what I paid for them.
That's right. Do you still find that hard? Because you're still in fashion.
Yeah.
You're still in retail.
Yeah.
At going somewhere else and paying full retail price.
Yeah. No, I don't do it. Unless it's like a big ticket item that I know that like I'm getting what I'm paying for.
Right.
Like I think the last big purchase would have been golf clubs. I bought new golf clubs this spring. I wasn't looking for a deal on it. I wanted the right ones.
Right. And how are you, and I mean, it is about knowing people and stuff like that, but it sucks too to always be looking for a deal or finding somebody that can get you a deal.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just got to bite the bullet and pay retail.
Yeah. I'm not one to really ask people to get me a deal on stuff like that because I hate when people ask me for that because I know I can't do it. I'll lose my job doing it.
Yep.
Which I thought was funny because I was going to ask you what kind of deal I can get on some Bloodstones at Mark's right now. Yeah, absolutely zero.
We got our wrist slap finally.
Oh, okay. Yeah. We used to do some shady things. I hope the owners don't necessarily listen to this podcast.
I think Chad does from time to time. I don't think they were shady. I don't think they were ever outside of the deal, but I think a lot of people got friends and family that weren't friends and family.
Okay. Yeah.
I think that's how how I would look at it.
I never did that. I was never looking for friends and family stuff. I was looking for more of a deal for me, and it was never on anything we ever carried.
Right. Yeah.
It was always like stuff bringing it in.
You weren't a Marks guy. You didn't like anything we sold. You didn't like the cut of our jeans.
I bought more, like I was buying Marks Warehouse shoes after I stopped working there when I was working at Banana, because I loved like the dressier style. We didn't really carry that when I worked there. Not that I probably would have worn it, because I was wearing skater everything when I worked at Marks. But yeah, I bought more. I think I bought 4 or 5 pairs of dress shoes. One was for my brother's wedding. I forgot dress shoes for my brother's wedding when I came home. But yeah, like I bought more stuff from Marks, like that was Marks Warehouse product since I've left.
For sure, right? You've matured. You've matured into a Marks customer.
Yeah.
So, so you went to the Gap, and then from the Gap you progressed. You went to Banana Republic.
Yeah. So, Gap in Peterborough. Worked there for about 1.5 years, and then I moved to Ottawa for a year and stayed with the Gap. It was a transfer. They were opening a new store. Thought I was going to make Ottawa my permanent home. Things happened. Decided I want to go be near family in Calgary. They had a position for Gap there. Worked there for probably 6 to 8 months. Got a new boss and hated her with a passion. And my old boss was running Banana Republic, same company, just different banner. And he was like, just come work for me. Loved working for that guy. Worked for him for 3 years. And then got my own store in Edmonton. Hated my district manager with a passion. Ruined 2 vacations that I was on because he couldn't leave me alone. And so I decided after coming back from one of those vacations, I would apply for jobs. And I got contacted by American Eagle the next day, 3 different ways. Nice. So I could tell they really wanted me. And got a massive increase in pay and way better work-life balance. I was talking to one of my friends this weekend. I have 6 people that work as leadership in my building, so taking time off is not a difficult thing for me to do, which is fantastic. I could take 2 weeks and not worry about it.
Right. It's not falling apart. Somebody's doing what you should be doing when you're away.
Yeah, not quite as well as I probably would, but whatever.
It is what it is. So. And have you found you're an American Apparel guy?
American Eagle?
Sorry. Oh shit. American Apparel's not even a thing anymore.
No, it's not. We used to wear that stuff all the time.
So American Eagle. Sorry.
American Eagle. I find that my friends that are closer to my age make fun of me for wearing ripped jeans, and I'm like, but that pays the bills and they're free. Yeah. So what are you gonna do? I find it's way easier to get myself together in the morning than versus wearing like dress pants, dress shirt, tie.
Right.
Which is what I was wearing at Banana. So I throw on a hoodie 90% of the time.
That's nice.
Wear jeans, wear Birkenstock sandals when we're kind of slower.
And you get to be a pervy old man because you actually...
I also run an Airy. It's a side-by-side, much like Peterborough. Yep. So it's... American Eagle and an Airy, and there's a little walkway.
And you go and sort that mixed panty drop in all the time. I
definitely
suppose, right?
definitely have people to do that for me. Definitely have staff to do that for me, and they're happily doing that for me. Yeah. They don't need that.
Do you so you're on shift? Do you find, are you more of an office guy now, or do you like to still be out in the warehouse and on the floor?
I way more want to be talking to people than I want to be sitting at my desk. Unfortunately, last year or so, they've made it more of our responsibility to be doing scheduling stuff and all that stuff. So I spend more time in the office. I hate it. I very much need to be moving and talking to people.
Yeah. I find like that's still me. That's still me to a T, right? It's like, you know, sure, you know, you're running a big store, but I mean, there's people in the office and you're like, oh man, if you want to be in the office, you be in the office, and I'm going to just do laps and talk to people and, you know, troubleshoot and stuff. So do you find that you traditionally stay on the more fashion side and then you just do one quick loop through Airy, or?
Yeah, I'm supposed to spend more time on Airy to kind of know the business better. I have an amazing manager who runs that side for me, so I don't tend to, other than to go have conversations with her. But I don't tend to spend a lot of time. I will try and spend an hour or two a day over there.
Because your name tags?
We're supposed to wear name tags.
You don't wear it because then, right? If you're not wearing a name tag, you're just a creepy old guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
On that side,
but you're wearing. We have walkies on. You
right.
look like you work there.
Oh, good.
Majority of the time, I've been on break and been asked to help people. I'm like, I have my food in my hand, but sure, why not?
Yeah, right. It's always funny, right? I find that too. You're just walking through, or you're there on a day off, and they're like, "You look knowledgeable."
Yeah.
Is this really on sale for that price?
Yes, it is.
But and yeah, so how long have you been there now?
I've been there. It'll be 3 years at the end of November.
That's cool. It's nice to settle in somewhere and like it, and that you still like it after 3 years.
Yeah. Right? I work for really, really good boss. Like my boss is amazing. Super easy to talk to, super easy to vent to. And I have an amazing team that works for me. Like it was a struggle when I took over the store
because it's not your team.
It wasn't my team. They weren't there to make the company money. Like in the end of the day, that's why we are there, is to make money. If you don't want to make money, then
if you're not profitable,
then you're not going to be there, right? So it took about 8 months to get the team that I necessarily wanted in there. And it keeps growing and changing. Obviously, people walk away and stuff like that. It's retail. It happens.
I mean, right? But you've got students. You've got. Would you have college? You still have college kids, right? You're close enough that you're getting them as a workforce. So I mean, eventually those people, like, right, they finish school and they go get careers and they move on, right? But I mean, you might have had them for 4 years, or if it's a kid that's stayed in province,
or in town, because it happens a lot that people jump ship, don't want to be in Edmonton, they want to go Red Deer, which I can't understand. It's like Peterborough, but add more
plaid,
more conservative, and more drugs.
Is it bad?
Oh yeah, from what those kids tell me,
right?
And I'm like, yeah, I could see that,
right?
I could see that.
I'm still so oblivious to that, and people have bad habits, and that I see it more. As I say, I see it more. How's your loss prevention?
Ours is good because we're a remote store,
so no one's making it out that far.
We're not getting the people, like,
right,
they have to pay $5 to take transit out to us,
right?
So they don't have $5 to take transit out to us. So
I'm finding now the number of like downtown hard down and out people that are making their way up, because right now Sears is gone, so you can't go rob from Sears, so they've made their way up to us.
Yeah, I can see that.
And it's like, oh my god. And right, we're carrying more product than we ever have, right? We've got bench, and we've got heli, and we've got, so there's more stuff they want to steal and sell for drug money, that
they'll actually get drug money for.
Yes,
right? Like,
exactly.
Versus trying to sell Denver Hayes jeans. They're going to sell a pair of Levi's.
Yes.
And I know we carried Levi's while I was there, but it wasn't the extent that it is now.
No, it's now, right, we've got a full, and there's big push, and there's tons over in ladies, and there's a big it's more of a thing to come to and steal, right? And back in your day, it was probably just the people that either liked our brand was stealing from us, or they were like professional thieves and they were hitting Columbia, right? So but now it just, sometimes they come in sober, sometimes they come in not sober, and you're like, you just need to leave, and they're like, I'm not going to steal. I'm like, I still don't want you here. Well, you can't tell me to leave. I'm like, yes, I can.
Welcome to 2020, 2021. We can tell anybody we want to get out. The customer's definitely not always right. In the last 2 years, so
which is sort of nice in a way, but I don't know. Have you found have customers gotten worse?
They've either gotten worse or they've gotten way better. We had, obviously, Alberta was a little different than Ontario. We didn't do lockdowns.
Right.
We did the one big lockdown in April or May. April, March. I don't know. That we were shut down for 2 weeks or 2 months. And then we haven't had a lockdown since. You get the people, but I think for the most part, after the first couple of months, people who were against any of the like mask wearing,
yeah,
all that stuff, figured out what stores they could go into and what stores they couldn't go into.
And that's where they've stayed.
And we were very much a store that we were not wanting people without masks. We were providing masks to anybody who didn't have one, so you couldn't have that excuse that you don't have one. And so we haven't seen a lot of that. The last little bit, we aren't forcing like mask wearing for any of our customers. We strongly encourage that everybody wear a mask, but it's not, so you're not having those arguments.
Right.
And I think everybody's kind of understood the new dynamic of what selling is going to look like. We're not going to get right in with you and try and style you from head to toe.
Right.
Where we can have that contact. We're going to be 6 feet away and saying, this top would look amazing with those jeans. You should put it on. Now, we're not going to really show you how to wear it.
So aside from COVID, how are you finding people in general? I mean, and it's tough because it's been 18 months to 20 months. But before that, have you found people have gotten ruder?
No, not really.
And then would you say you see a difference in between Ontario and Alberta in your customers, or pretty much the same?
It's different every city I've worked in.
Right.
Like Peterborough was very much like it's a work people, like, which is very similar to Edmonton. Edmonton's like the working class people.
Right.
When I lived and worked in Calgary, they're like the business end of like the oil industry.
Right.
So you have that different mindset, right? You can sell differently to the working class people,
right,
versus the people who are spending all their time in the office buildings and stuff like that. Yeah, I don't think there's much of a difference. I think I've heard differences from the Calgary stores that are like on my weekly conference call. They get more of a pushback than Edmonton do. And again, we're a remote store, so we're not seeing.
Yeah. People aren't just popping in. They gotta drive.
They gotta drive 15, 20, 45 an hour to come
so
see us.
There's a reason.
There's a reason, and they're not going to get into a big stink about certain things.
Right.
They made the decision to drive all the way out to us. They're probably gonna comply with what's going on. I know the vaccine passport or exemption program that we call it in Alberta, they just started to do it for our food court the day that I left, and the one security guard who was running it used to work for me. And as I was just kind of walking through, he was getting yelled at for not just letting somebody go in there and sit, not even eat.
Right.
They had to show proof of vaccine to go in there just to sit, and he was just getting berated. And I was like, well, that sucks.
That's the job, though.
Yeah.
But yeah, you'll see people that don't like confrontation.
Yeah.
Get out of it real quick, right?
Yeah.
And I see lots of postings of, you know, just be kind to people, because you know what? All the people that you're yelling at are, they went to work to make minimum wage and do their job that they like or pays their bills. They didn't go to listen to you spout your political agenda or your opinion.
Beliefs. Yeah. I found over, like, we haven't really run into that issue lately, but I found over the first little bit, I was never the person that had to deal with a big issue, because I'm assuming that the second they see me and my tone this is how it is. There's no bargaining.
Right.
But a lot of my staff, certainly female staff, got the bargaining arguments.
Yeah. For
You're
sure.
just going to let me do this. And it was like, okay. I'm like, why does that always happen with you guys? Oh, I think I have a different presence. And it's not even like they already know I'm the store manager. It's just I have a different presence.
You come in and you're like, I talked about that the other day, because somebody was like, oh, I think. I'm like, never use I think.
No.
Be like, this is our policy.
Yeah.
This is what I can do for you. This is what I cannot do for you.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. And as I say, whether you're talking about, policy or warranty or whatever, but it's always funny. And it's very true that a lot of guys, right? Or guys will either berate them or be like, yep, that's fine. Or you'll get a guy that doesn't want to deal with it, and he'll send his wife in. And then you're like, well, you can't say no to my wife. I sent her in to do this task. Yeah. And you're like, I appreciate your husband's busy and he's working, but you know, he's wrong.
Yeah.
And he needs to come in here and deal with this or take the answer that I'm giving you to take back to him. And it sucks.
The one thing that's made certainly this last 18 months easier is much like Mark's, the 100% satisfaction thing.
Right.
That's kind of how American Eagle sees it too. So you're not getting in those arguments with the people.
Just take it back.
Just take it back. To an extent. So there's time where I'm just like, I'm not taking back the jeans you wore 50 times.
Yeah.
And blew out the crotch in. You probably have grown in one way, shape, or form. But like stuff like that, it's like take it back, offer them an exchange.
Yeah.
Like it's not where Gap and Banana were a little bit more. These are the timelines.
Yeah.
You got to follow it. And if you're not willing to, then
yeah.
So they've certainly made it easier. The DM was like, you have an issue, just give the person my phone number.
Right.
That's
nice.
Gonna tell them the same thing.
Yep.
That you're telling them. So to kind of have that backup, you're like, okay, cool. So
nice. And you've still been playing hockey?
Yeah. I'm on 2 teams now. This winter I played on a different team in the summer. It's stupid expensive, and I wanted to play on 3 teams, but it was just like I can't afford that. And
is it just that there's such a demand for ice that drives price?
It could be the one team is a little disorganized and financially irresponsible, so they ask for more money so that they can pay off some other.
Okay.
So the one team that I started playing on this winter actually has individuals pay the league versus paying the person who runs it.
Yeah.
The first team that I play on, that I've played on for 3 or 4 years now, they want us to pay them. There is more games involved, but it's more expensive, and yeah. So it'll probably be the last year that I play with them.
So do you ever find out what your ice time actually costs?
No, I don't want to know that.
Right. Because then it's like, man, are you making a profit off of? See, that's where I would struggle.
Yeah.
Is if.
Yeah, we kind of are on the understatement, like the understanding that any of my friends that are playing on this team that we played on for a few years, this is going to be our last year.
Right. And you'll all move on.
And we'll just find somewhere else to play.
And there's lots of rec league.
There's 4 different leagues that they run out of Edmonton that you can play on. I'm playing in 2 different leagues. There's also a whole lot of open spots right now because of people who aren't getting vaccinated.
Right. So
have just quit.
Yeah, you can't go.
So like I was saying to you before we got in here, I played before I left Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. The Friday night game was me subbing for another team. Just throw them $20 and
oh, cool.
And they're cool with it. I've already been asked 4 times since I've been home to play on other teams.
Right. And you're mediocre still, are you not?
Oh, I'm still very mediocre. Mediocre would be very kind.
Oh, Jordan.
I just really...
You got silky hands.
I just really enjoy going out for a skate.
Right. And you're still wearing giant hardware on that knee of yours?
No, I broke it. And I don't have $2,500 to replace it. And I found one that I looked into, so I'm not gonna blow up my knee. I looked into, and they sell them at Hockey Life,
right?
And it's for ACL protection.
Cool. So you just got
and it's like a slip on, and then it's got some bars in it. Yep. So it's essentially the same idea. It's obviously a little bit less extensive than my $2,500 one, but I don't really feel like dropping that, and it's not part of my benefits. So
right. And I mean, right, as much as hockey, I mean, that you got that one when you did it on the ski hill.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's different torque, it's different, control. And I mean, right, hockey, I mean, you only go as fast as you're choosing to go, right? Yeah. And no one's following you hard into the corners, I hope.
No, I just slow. If I feel like somebody's going to do that, then I just slow up. You can have the puck.
Yeah. Isn't that funny though, that there's still guys that are like, I'm 110%, 150% of the time. And you're like, man.
Yeah. Well, and I was talking to the boys. I was talking to Corey and Chris about that. Corey hasn't played any rec hockey
since he got back from BC.
Yeah, like 8 years. He hasn't played any, and he got asked to play. And he's like, I don't think I can do it. I don't think I can turn off the switch of like uber competitive. And I'm like, that's what I enjoy.
Oh, is that what he calls it? Not that he plays like an asshole.
I'm probably paraphrasing a little bit,
okay,
and just being a little bit nicer about it.
Uber competitive. You play like an asshole.
But I know, like, I get on the ice and I think it's hilarious. Like, we got blown out the one game, and I'm laughing with the refs. So I think we're in the wrong league here. I'm over on the boards. The timekeeper's watching the Monday night football game or Sunday night football game, I guess, and I'm watching Green Bay kick the winning field goal instead of actually playing hockey. And all the guys are like, get in the face off. I'm like, who cares? It's right. It's 15-4.
Right.
We're not winning this.
How do you think that makes your goalie feel?
Oh, well, we found out that we actually were playing in the wrong division.
Oh, okay.
That the next day we got an apology email from the organizers of the league saying there was two teams.
Yeah, we're gonna bump
we morphed together because of people quitting because of COVID, and we put them in the wrong division. So I was like, so the goalie he's a pretty chill guy, much like yourself, not overly too worried about.
I don't know if I'm chill anymore, bud.
Oh, okay, well then.
But that's
the way you were when I played hockey with you, right?
Right.
So it's kind of the same boat as you. He's kind of learning it. It's not.
I feel like I didn't play last year. I feel like I've punched somebody in the face at least every year I've played since. But it's hilarious though. But I mean, this is the thing, right? Super chill. But do you know how much you have to do to me for me to come up and put a blocker into your chin?
Yeah, you got to be a fucking.
But I mean, there's still people coming in hard.
Yeah.
Skates first, stick first. The puck is buried under a pad, and they're like, "Oh, I'll give it one more poke." I'm like, man, I work tomorrow. Yeah. I don't have $1,200 to go buy new pads.
And you scoring that goal
when you're already ahead.
Yeah. Is that going to make your Monday morning coffee with your work? Oh, I scored last night. It was a beauty. I poked it right through the goalie while he was on it. Nobody's describing that goal. Like, that's not, you're not going to go to work and brag about it. Like, and you do have to go to work the next day.
Yeah.
Sorry, the scouts aren't picking you up for that one. But I laugh because that happens all the time.
Oh, for sure. And I get it, right? Some guys just land, they were AAA kids or they were junior A kids, and they come back to their hometown and they're like, and they just pick up, they can't find a league to play for their skill level, and they just settle into something that's totally not there.
And that's kind of what I like about the bigger cities, that you have the different skill levels that you can play in. Where Peterborough, like, we had that Sunday night league. And is that what you're still playing?
Yeah, this will be my second year not playing.
Okay. So, but yeah, like, that was every skill level you could find in the city, right? Like,
well, I mean, right when you throw up a 3-goal maximum, so you knew there was there was danglers that were going to score 3 goals every night. So it's like, oh well, you score your 3 goals and then you go back and play D.
And so everybody knows I did score 3 goals one game. They were all garbage, dirty goals, but I did score 3
that's
goals.
fantastic. You were in the right spot at the right time. But it's funny, so last year I picked up ladies league.
Okay.
So we have a friend, she runs a ladies league, and her goalie blew out her ACL. Just, you might as well have taken her knee and throwing it in the garbage. So she's like, hey, do you want to pick up like 6 weeks? And I hadn't played.
And
man, it was so much fun. They leave the music on the entire time. They all cheer, they're laughing, they're right. And I mean, and there's some snipers for sure. There's still women out there, but I mean the sheer competitiveness, it came down, and I mean, I had a good time. I didn't leave mad. I didn't leave, and it'd be like the odd one. I'm like, man, she fucking smoked me. It's like, man, I put my hand up and the puck was already like in the net, and it's like, whew.
I like it.
But it's funny. Gave me a true appreciation what I've put my daughter through for the last 12 years of her life playing boys hockey, because she still plays with the boys. And being in a change room by yourself. It's kind of lonely.
I bet. You just put the music on or listen to a podcast while you're getting ready.
Well, I mean, it's funny too with COVID, right? It's this whole reduced. So I mean, you know how fast I got dressed and how I mean, I was an early guy, so I could get dressed at my own pace and still hit the ice when the whistle blew. And now it's like, oh, so I'm getting out there and they're like, oh, they're ready to drop the puck. I haven't even stretched. And it's like, but yeah, I'm still pretty slow getting dressed. And being by myself does not help in any way, shape, or form. And it's like,
surprised they don't let you get dressed with like the refs or the refs female too.
No refs. So it is very rec league. Okay. Very rec league.
Yeah.
So and that, you know what, that is truly the one thing I miss is and that's why I always said that I was more than willing to drive to Peterborough every Sunday night.
Yeah.
Because you know, you don't get a lot of this. You get lots of shinny, you got lots of invites for shinny, and it's like, man, I really like, you know, that they're blowing down the play. They're going to a face-off, and you know, you know, it's not like you score and you're like, oh, I guess we got to skate it out. It's like,
or you actually get back checkers.
Yeah, or else, right, you make an awesome glove save and then you lay it down because that's ideally, and then they're fighting for the puck right behind you again, and it's like, whatever.
Yeah.
So I mean, there is certainly that idea of that stop play I like, and having a clock and that stress of, oh man, 5 seconds left and we're up by 1. Let's see what happens, right? But I don't mind not playing. It's just there's a big investment of equipment in my garage.
Yeah.
I bought a helmet 2018, so that was, you know, a big drop of cash. Got a custom made one.
Oh geez.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, I bet it is.
Fire engine red, and right, and it's like, oh, okay.
Well, I had a good story for you with the hockey equipment and lovely Edmonton, downtown Edmonton. I had my car parked in an underground parking garage.
This is at home.
This is at home back in Edmonton, and a gentleman somehow had a key to get into the parking garage. Decided my car was the car that he needed to loot. Smashed the window, got into the car, missed him by like a half an hour. Decided to take my hockey equipment because I had left it in there. Takes a couple other things out of my car, which again, like I'm a messy person, so the car was probably stuff that I shouldn't have left in there was in there.
Right.
Gets all the stuff. He's on camera and everything. Gets all the stuff out of the building. I'm like, well, shit, I got a hockey game like 2 days from then. It's Black Friday. I'm gonna get the best deals I'm gonna get on. And I had my old skates, my old bucket, everything else I had to replace everything else. Play one game, get an email from the building. They were doing construction on the outside. We found a hockey bag outside, and I'm like, well, what's left in it? Everything. Decided, oh, this is hockey equipment. I can't sell that for drugs.
Right. Damn it.
Gonna leave it. I'm like, why the hell wouldn't you leave it in the car? So now I have double everything. I'm like, super, because I can't take anything back of worn, right?
Right. Nope. Yeah.
Yeah. Ideally, I would have found it like the day before. That would have been perfect. But
would you still have got like the insurance claim on it, or no?
No, I didn't do the insurance claim on it because it wasn't enough
for your deductible. So you had to put in a new window.
Yeah. And it was actually the one thing I did, I really like labored on it. And it's like, because I drive a car, and it's like the back window, but the little square one, which is the most expensive one for them to replace, apparently, because it takes too much time. I finally I hemmed and hawed about replacing it. I covered it with
cardboard and duct tape.
Yeah. And a buddy's like, oh, I can get you that for like $50.
Perfect.
So I ended up, it was going to cost me $400. I got quoted $400. I gave him $150.
Right.
And he's like, no, you just have to pay for the window. I'm like, no. You still save me a crap ton of money. But it was like, that was another thing where I was like, I need to get the hell out of downtown Edmonton. Because if they're just going to walk into the parking garage, what protection is that? And of course, like the cops have the cameras. Yeah. They're like, we're never catching this guy.
No, I found a lot of that, right? If they don't recognize them, it's
and all the stuff would have been gone, right? Like you stole sunglasses, GPS unit, food. I bought, because it was the day before Black Friday. I bought food for my staff.
Right. And left
it in the car, thinking nothing of it, right? Yeah, it took
some 2-bite brownies and He probably was thankful for that.
Yeah, probably.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Oh, that sucks. Do you want to tell your arrival story in Ontario today, or your rental story? That story is worth retelling.
Yeah. So I have this. I planned this trip probably 3 or 4 months ago. Super cheap flights. Anybody wants to fly anywhere other than the week before Christmas and I think the week after Christmas, it's super cheap
within Canada.
Within Canada, it is extreme. Like $250 is what it cost me. Normally, I pay I'd be happy with 600.
Right.
Round trip.
Right. So
just over 250.
250 round both trip. Ways. That is pretty good.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll come and visit you.
Yeah. I got a place you can stay.
Nice.
It'll be a couch. It's not comfortable to sleep on, but that's your problem.
Yeah. Exactly.
So anyways, I plan this all out. Go through and get a rental car coming up because my mother does not like driving on the highway, nor do I really want her to because I've seen her drive. Love her to death, but
it comes.
Yeah. My dad was the one who would drive on the highway and pick me up from the airport whenever I would come for a visit. So I have a rental car, and I know I have a lot of people I want to come visit, yourself included, outside of Peterborough. So I needed a different car. Didn't want to take hers. So I was like, I got the 2 weeks planned. I'm leaving hockey Saturday night, and I get one of those messages about your card's been used at this location, and it's a strip club. And I'm like, I haven't been to a strip club in years. I'm certainly not at one right now. So I'm like, nope, block, delete, like cancel card, send me a new one. Don't think anything of it that night. Monday morning, getting all my stuff together. My flight leaves Monday night. Getting all my stuff together before I go to work for the day. And I realize I don't have a credit card to get my rental car.
So, like every adult. It's so funny. Eventually, as an adult, you need a credit card.
Yeah.
Right, to book a hotel, to get the rental car, to just to function in life.
And I haven't been using it because I haven't been doing any of these things. So I didn't think any of it. I'm like, oh, I don't need a credit card. So I call up the rental car company and I'm like, hey, so this is the situation. Card's been stolen. I need to know if I'm going to still be able to rent this vehicle or if I should cancel it, make other arrangements. And they're like, oh yeah, no, that's fine. Just show us your itinerary because you have a return flight. We'll know when you're coming back, blah, blah, blah. If you're not back, then blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, cool. Glad that worked out. My flight gets in at just before 11. The airport, and anybody who's going to the airport or flying into Toronto should know this. If you fly in Terminal 3, they do not have any rental cars at Terminal 3. You have to go to Terminal 1. So you have to take the train to go to Terminal 1. I didn't know this. Nobody told us this. There's no signs or anything. I walk all the way to the rental company at Terminal 1 or Terminal 3, and they're like, go to Terminal 1 to rent your car. Very annoyed by that. And I was like, all right, whatever. Nothing you can do about it. Complain to the rental car company. They should be sending an email or whatever. Get to the desk, and the girls ask for all my information. And then she's like, oh, the credit card. And I was like, oh, no, I talked to somebody this morning. They said, just show this and I have it ready. Show my itinerary. She's like, yeah, we can't accept that. In Canada, you need a credit card. Well, why the hell would somebody tell me?
This is when you get their name and their employee number.
Well, I know.
Or I
didn't think of that in the morning.
I know.
So I call them back, their support center or whatever. And the girl's like, yeah, the person this morning gave you wrong info. Fantastic. How does that help me right now? It's midnight. My mother will not drive on the highway. I don't know anybody in Toronto. Scotty says when I told him the story earlier, I would have got you. I would have come got you. And I
would have got up at midnight. I would have thrown back some coffee, and we would, and we would have went to a real strip joint.
Yeah, we would have went to a strip club just to prove a point.
Yeah.
And so I end up calling my mom, and I'm trying to figure out what to do. And I'm like, I wonder what an Uber from Pearson International to Peterborough, Ontario would cost. Thinking in my mind 350, and I think you said like 500.
I was thinking high. Yeah.
Surprisingly enough, $170.
That is such a deal.
Before tip. Right. If you're gonna get somebody to drive you that far,
so what did you give him? A $30 tip?
20%. So nearly $40 tip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of you.
Well,
I would have just done the round up to 200, but
yeah, I always just do the percentage. And also it was, by the time I got home, it was 2:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
Yes, it's only midnight my time, but I was up at 4:00. So,
right. You lost a couple hours.
I did lose a couple hours. And then, so anybody knows that during the evening, if you want to take an Uber from Pearson International to Peterborough, less than $200.
So here's an interesting thing. I had a buddy in and told a funny story about, so, when the Hip had their final concert in Kingston, they set up the street here and big screen TVs.
Saw it on TV.
You got it. So they came down here and they'd taken a bus from the trailer park that they were staying at into town. Guess who their bus driver was?
Michelle.
It was. And we were like high school friends.
Yeah.
And he's going to his wife. He's like, "Oh, Scott's wife. She's the one that didn't left us behind in town because we went to get hot dogs instead of getting on the bus." And I'm like, "That's Michelle." So the trailer park, probably 15 clicks towards Lindsay, halfway to Lindsay. It's in Dunsford. How much do you think a cab ride from Bob Cajun for 15 clicks was?
Like $70.
Right? So think of the deal you got on Uber.
I know. I paid so
crazy. So where were we at? Oh shit, I don't even know where we were at. What we talked about? I don't know. It was that intense.
Oh, it was my car story.
Your car story.
Yeah. So $200, I guess, after tip and stuff like that.
That's cool though.
And I felt really bad, and I kept on apologizing. He was like, "No, it's my job. It's my job." I'm like, "You're not getting another ride because Peterborough doesn't have Uber."
You were saying that, yeah. So Uber's got a block out.
Well, I think it's the other companies have a block out for Uber.
So if you want, you can't
use the Uber app. I don't think
it's me. But how do you? Is that the city you tell?
I feel like how many. They had a block out for any rideshare program for how long? Because what was it? The old mayor also owned one of the taxi.
But I don't see how you can, like, if I download the app.
Well, you can.
You have to make an application to have a business like that.
Yeah. So for a long time, it was Uber for years and years. It was big in the States, and even it took a long time for the big cities to get it right. And it was because the city councils couldn't agree on how safe it was and
insurance
and how they were going to run that.
Right.
So, for whatever reason, I've never looked that hard into it because I don't live in Peterborough to figure out what their rideshare program. And I honestly could walk anywhere in Peterborough. And I did that the other night, 15-20 minute walk to get to where I was sleeping that night. So that doesn't bother me. I'm not gonna pay $20 for somebody to drive me that.
Yeah. 2 feet and a heartbeat, right?
Exactly.
For sure. I find that so interesting that's that. So you've been to the cottage?
Yep.
You've been to Bob Cajun?
Been to Bob Cajun. Been to Minden.
You're heading back to Minden? I'm
gonna head back to Minden.
A little bit of golf.
For some golf with my longtime golfing partner.
Yes.
In crime.
Is he still a TD?
No. He's working at a Castle hardware store for now.
Interesting. COVID related?
No.
Just got tired of banking? It's his story to tell. It's his story to tell. You know what? And he's just down the road. So you know what? I always saw it. I mean, I love Chris.
Yeah.
And I always thought that, when he went to Minden and settled in and became a dad and all those things, I was like, man, we could carpool into Peterborough and play hockey. And does he play hockey anymore?
We were talking about that this weekend. He signed up for hockey. He hasn't played in a few years, and he's very, very nervous about it. Just because he hasn't done any of that physical activity, and he knows that he takes it a little too serious, and he knows other guys in that league take it way too serious.
Is he skating out of Minden? Because they probably
I think it's out of Minden.
If he ever needs a goalie, tell him to reach out.
Know.
I would love to reconnect with him because he is such a fun guy.
Oh, he's an absolute gem.
Right. Yeah. And he makes cute babies.
Absolutely adorable. It was his son's birthday party.
Right.
and on Sunday. So his birthday was on the 30th. And his
What'd you
birthday,
get him?
So he's big and he wants to do everything dad does, right?
Right.
So dad is very outdoorsy. They've got a big lot of land, so they're constantly working on it. So it's cut everything.
cut everything.
When before I came, I'm like, what is he into? We'll figure out birthday present, and then I forgot about it. And then I was talking to Greg on our drive to the cottage, and I'm like, oh, I didn't get Isaac a birthday present. He goes, I have this idea. Mastercraft at Canadian Tire makes these kids tools,
right? So you got him a whack,
and he
loved it.
Absolutely over the moon, excited about it. Was walking around with the drill, wanting to drill everything, wants to do everything dad does, right?
Nice.
So was over the moon. But Greg and I were like, I was saying like the bouncers / runners for everything for this birthday. And then we were drinking in the parking lot before the party started. And then all these families show up with their kids for the party. And like, who the hell are these two who have cracked a beer in the parking lot of a dance studio and then decide they're coming into the kid's birthday party? And not to mention he's 2, so the kids are around. I think they range like 2 to 7.
Right.
So yeah, we were, and then but Chris and Miranda, Chris's wife, absolutely loved us because we ran and got pizza for them. We were helping them clean up. They thought we were fantastic. They didn't care we were drinking in the parking lot, enjoying our vacation.
It all worked out well. Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
So a little golfing. How is your golf game? Still good?
It's up and down. I played around by myself on Wednesday last week because I had literally nothing else to do. So I was like, see what courses in Peterborough I can go play. So I went to Baxter Creek. It's amazing how easy the game is when you have nobody else to worry about,
and no one pushing you,
and nobody was around me.
Nice.
There was a group in front of me, and I was like, I had my music going in my ears. I was just shoot 80. It was my best round of the year, which is not necessarily great, but I felt really
good for you
about it. Yeah, I still enjoy it. It's more of a social thing for me now than trying to make some crazy score. I play a lot of my friends out in Edmonton have started to get into golf. So I've been playing a lot of rounds with them, and it's like they're like, "We're sorry, we're not great at that." I'm like, I couldn't care less.
No.
Let's go where's the beer cart girl?
Yeah.
Although I have found this year has been really bad for that because I think a lot of it hopefully is only because of COVID. But like clubs aren't doing beer cart girls.
It's tough too because it's like it's contact and it's bottles and one of the girls that splits her time between us and Baxter Creek, and she's like, we just put everything into plastic cups and then you just throw the cup out and then you don't have to worry about grabbing a can or a bottle off the table. It's easy, right? So
so that's kind of my golf game. Is like I did buy new irons and stuff, and it almost seems like a poor investment right now.
And you got them fitted to you?
I got them fitted to me for the first time ever, and I would never go back to not getting my clubs fitted.
I still have the set that I bought with you at the Rockhaven Hotel.
Yeah.
And they're doing me fine. I haven't had them out. Oh, gosh. So the last time I had them out, Michelle was helping with our hockey association's golf tournament. And there was a foursome that lost their fourth. And she's like, I need you to come golf. And I'm like, I didn't sign up. And she's like, I've got a spot for you. And went to my bag and pulled out 3 skunky Heinekens from the last time.
Jeez.
From the last time I'd been golfing. And I'm like, what a waste. Who knew those were in there? And then still had a flask of whiskey. So it stayed in the bag. And I got, I played with 2 mics. I got mic number 1. What do you think?
Well, more sour than I'm necessarily.
It definitely is sour.
And probably coming off of
yeah. That might have been the first one I drank.
Yeah, probably.
And then, but that'll make Wes excited. Shout out to Wes. Jordan's having one of the sour. So there's one less in the fridge for you to have when we do cold ones.
Sorry, buddy.
It's funny that it's such a thing, but yeah. So played with these guys, hadn't played in forever. I haven't been out golfing with Jed in forever. Stop taking me, the bastard.
It's like you probably got too drunk on the golf course.
I probably did, but I mean, it wasn't my business day.
Yeah.
But yeah, and right, pre-COVID, passing this flask around, I'm like, oh, and then right, one guy was like settling into it. I'm like, oh, that's the guy.
That's my guy. That's my guy right there.
Had to call his wife to pick him up, and she's like, "Who got you this drunk?" And he's like, I don't even know. He's like, she's like, Michelle's husband, and she's like, Michelle who? And he's like, trying to piece it together, and I'm like, that was me. And of course, Michelle was helping with the tournament, so she was completely sober. So I'm like, oh fuck, I got to ride home. I'm all in. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
And had a bunch of beers and drank whiskey out of my bag. And yeah, I was certainly entertaining.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's what you just have to aim for.
Absolutely.
Because it's like, oh, that's good. But well, that's good. Your golf game is up. So then, and you head home Wednesday. So little right Thanksgiving. Yeah. So you're gonna actually have a turkey?
I believe so. Yeah. I pies were mentioned last night when I got to my mom's place. She was trying to figure out how she's going to do the pies. And then, so I'm assuming Sunday night we will be having some kind of turkey dinner. My little brother is flying home tonight, and I have to drive back to Toronto to go pick him up.
Right.
But yeah, we will do some kind of Thanksgiving, which is abnormal. I couldn't tell you last time I actually did it.
Sat down and had
a Thanksgiving dinner. So.
Do you ever try to do that, like with all your single friends? And
the problem we have in the past, but it's not a Thanksgiving dinner. It's usually we're going out to some pub and
right. It's just another excuse to get together because you're all the people that aren't having Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah. And on a side note, retail is really stupid in Alberta. We're open every day except for Christmas Day.
Oh.
Yeah.
So you don't have Monday would be a work day.
Usually I would be at work on the Monday. So
there you go.
Yeah. Kind of ruins everything.
It does. That's when we're having our Thanksgiving dinner, because it's like, oh, everybody's off on Monday.
Yeah,
man, we'll plan to have it Monday. So I'll go to the mother-in-law's. I've decided Michelle bought a giant bottle of wine, so maybe that's implying that she's drinking this year and I'll be driving home.
Yeah, that's a I guess a conversation you should probably have.
Seems unfair, but also I could probably convince. I think my nephew is home. So I could convince him to drive.
Isn't that reason you have kids?
Yeah. Actually, I guess in theory, Georgia shouldn't drive us home because she's still under that ability, but she's responsible enough to get her drunk parents home. And Ethan, we could make him drive too. Yeah. So yeah, maybe that's
a good reason to have kids.
Yeah.
So you have DDs.
Yeah. We'll make sure we just don't bring anything they like to drink. Yeah. Fuck, I'm glad.
Or just straight up tell them you're not drinking.
Yeah. This isn't your holiday. This is my holiday.
Fortunately, I never had that conversation. My mother's not much of a drinker, so
right.
if we really ever needed one.
It's interesting. It's interesting. Like I feel like that with my parents. It's like, oh, I could get shit faced and call my parents, and they 365 days they would be stone cold sober. Be like, Catherine,
yeah,
I'm in Oshawa. I need you to pick me up. And she's like, what happened? I'm so drunk. She'd be very disappointed.
Yeah.
She'd be like, I'm so disappointed in you. What were you thinking? And I'm like, I wasn't. I was living in the moment.
Yeah.
I love you.
Do that sometimes.
By the way, I love you, Mom. I don't say that enough, but I do. Any more, no more ink?
No, I've been wanting some badly, but I can't decide what I want. And I feel like I should be in better shape before I throw more ink on me.
Right. I got my big piece when I was skinny,
and I remember seeing it, and it's gorgeous.
Yeah, it's they did a wonderful job.
Does it look any different
versus Fat Scott? Not really.
No, okay.
Yeah, I think it's still. Michelle thinks the bottom end looks like a giant cock, so
she probably likes that.
I don't know, but you know what's funny? She's like, oh, it looks like a penis, big head of a penis. And then we go out and she gets a little drunk. She's like, Scott, take your pants off. And I'm like, these are your friends. They're not my friends. I'll flip through and show them a Facebook picture. And she's like, nah, take your pants off. Nobody cares. And I'm like, I care. I haven't manscaped lately. and it's like, right, if you get them down low enough,
Yeah.
there's a lot of
they're seeing everything.
Yeah. As much as you want to cup your your twigs and berries, and you're like, oh, there it is, and it looks much better like when you show the whole thing.
Yeah.
And I find that's the problem. I want to cup with my right hand, but I got to throw my right hand up over my my head to get the full effect.
Yeah.
But yeah, she hates it until she wants to show it off, and then she loves it.
So she secretly loves it.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. It almost is at that time that I could probably convince her that she needs to go get another tattoo.
Yeah.
And I don't know. But this is the thing. You either need to be super poignant and everything has to have a reason to be on you.
Yeah.
Or just get stuff that you like.
A stupid tattoo.
Yeah, you could get, Toronto Maple Leaf. And put like 2029.
Yeah, so that's always been
Stanley Cup champions.
Originally, before I got my tattoo for my old man.
Yes.
Was the first tattoo I was gonna get was when the Leafs win the cup.
Yep.
I would get that tattoo. I almost thought, and the optimistic Leaf fan that I am, thought that last year was the year, and I'm like, I think I'm gonna have to start playing, and then then that shit happened. So
you're a fool.
I'll never. I don't know. I felt like I'm not that optimistic, but this year I'm not really going to invest the time to watch as much as I did last year.
It's hilarious because if they were going to win a year, last year was the year that it was it was perfect for them.
It was a perfect storm. Yeah. Last year was the year they should have went on a run, and they didn't.
Yeah.
And they shit the bed 3 games in a row. And although fun fact about that, so me being the eternal Leaf fan that I am, I didn't want to listen to people give me shit, and I didn't want the depression that losing to Boston with a 4-1 lead gave me, and that's kind of what I felt was going to happen in Game 7. So I bet $50 that Montreal would win Game 7, and I made $400.
Right, nice.
So at least at that point, I was like, I made money.
Sportsline.
99 bet 99.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
I was just look for one of the sites, and I was like, all right, because I try to get my friends just to bet me $20.
Right.
Bet me $20 on the game. I'll feel better betting.
Makes the game interesting.
Yeah.
And...
Well, it made me either way. Like the Leafs were going to win, and I was going to be happy with that, and I was going to be down $20.
Yeah.
Or the Leafs are going to lose, and I'm going to be up $20. Nobody would bet me.
Right.
I'm out in Edmonton, so I can kind of understand that. And they were really upset about their team getting swept out in the first round, unfortunately. So nobody would bet me, so I was like, I'll just go on one of the sites.
Right.
And then I saw that if I bet $50, I could make 400, and I was like,
oh, I got $50.
I got $50. They Leafs win, I'm gonna be over the moon excited.
Yeah.
Down $50, who cares? They lose, I'll be up 400.
Nice.
So yeah, I made $400 on that game.
That's always they say that's the way to watch sports, because you're a little bit more invested. But yeah.
You usually don't bet against your own team, but
maybe that's point. As you say, you get to a point where you're desperate and you're like, you know what, if I bet against them, the sport gods reach down and be like, we'll teach you.
Yeah.
And you're like, they win. And you're like, oh,
cool.
If I had to pay $50 for them to move into the second round, fantastic.
I'll do it.
Or third.
Second round. It would have been the second round.
Right.
They can't get out of the first round.
Well, George is a big Mitchie fan. And
I was until last year.
I know. He's still pretty.
He is still very pretty.
I think sometimes that's all that matters to a young girl.
Yeah, she doesn't care how you play hockey.
Yeah. But I mean, we went down pre-COVID, so I guess that's 2019 to their practice day at Philip Nathan Square.
Yeah.
So cold.
Uh-huh.
Got there a little bit too late, committed to maybe seeing them come off the subway, picked the wrong side. So never really got to that reach out and touch them thing. And I'm like, well, I'm cold. Are you cold, girls? Went down with 4 teenage girls.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I'm ready to hit a restaurant and have a beer before we get back onto the GO train. They're like, okay.
Closest I've been in a long time, I was going to the airport. Where's I going? I think I was going to California for a work thing.
That's cool.
And the the Oilers were going through security with me. So Darnell Nurse was going through the security.
Right.
Said, good game last night, Darnell. He's like, thanks, man. He's like, go Leafs, go. And he's like, ah. And I don't think they played the Leafs anywhere near that, but
Right.
he's just kind of giving them. He was the one guy, and then Peter.
Right.
It was before they fired Peter Chiarelli, so he was just in front of Darnell, and I was ready to tell him that he's a fucking asshole. But I was like, I don't really need to be doing that. We're at security at this point,
right?
I don't need them to be like, yeah, you're belligerent. Get the hell out of here. You're not getting in your flight. So, yeah, I think that's when I saw them. Was doing a trip down to California.
It's cool that they still just go through regular.
Well, they had to go through security, and then they would find their own their own gate or whatever, their private.
Yeah, however they're flying out. Yeah. But I mean, I think too, like there's so many, like in the States, I don't think that's how it works. I think they just take them.
They probably got their own tarmac.
You got her, and they just, it's all cool, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's neat that you can still have those interactions with, semi-famous people, I guess. Like, right? It's like some of them are like, and I'm still at that point in my life, they'd be like, oh, there's a great guy. I could be wearing their jersey and probably still only recognize 2 people.
Yeah.
I'm like, meh, it's just sports. It's really not that important to me.
No.
I'll tune in during playoffs or, but other than that,
yeah.
Somebody asked me if I was upset about my dentist asked me if I was upset about the Jays today. I'm like, no. I said, you know what? I have no interest in watching a sport where they're all tied. And I don't even know what the tie-breaking system is. To me, they should have done a mini playoffs before the actual playoffs started.
That's what would happen.
But it didn't.
But they didn't end up tied.
They did.
No.
Are you 100% sure about that?
The Red Sox and the Yankees did. But Red Sox had a better record against the Yankees, so they get the first place.
But they all won. But they all won 91 games.
No, they won 92. Red Sox and Yankees won 92.
No, you see, this is why I'm not a sports guy.
Yeah. I was upset about the Jays losing because they're so much fun to watch.
Yep.
As a baseball team, like as fun as baseball can be.
Yeah.
And I really believe that the only reason I watch a lot of baseball is because what else do you watch in the summer? Sports wise, like I can't get behind tennis. Golf is only 4 days. And really, I only care.
And soccer is not for you.
Yeah. I watched a little bit of the World Cup or the Euros this year. Watched a little bit of that just because there's nothing else on.
Right.
But even like with Jays games, I'll usually have like something on Netflix
as
on my
well,
tablet while the game's going on. They're 4-hour long games. It's I don't have that attention span, or like it's on while I'm making dinner or something like that, right? So
shout out to the listeners. This will never be a sports podcast, but if you want to come on and teach me about your sport of choice, I've already done lacrosse. Reach out through the page or the email and let me know what you want to teach me about. That is an open invitation. Yeah.
I'm not teaching you anything. I tried to done that, or tried and failed multiple times over the years.
On what?
I don't know. Lots of different things. Lots of different things.
Right? Are you trying to teach me how to be a player?
I am certainly not going to teach you how to do that.
Oh, too late. Yeah. We came to the party. I came to the party way too late and met all you guys, and they're like, man, you guys are all slaying pussy on a regular basis.
I was so much better at that shit. Mark's House was my dating app. And then that followed me to the following place that I worked. It has not followed me since that because I learned my lesson.
You've been responsible.
But Mark's Warehouse was my dating app when we were
lots of pretty young single women,
and we were constantly all going out to the same places.
Yep.
We were all gathering together, became quick friends and stuff like that. Which, like as you do, it's very the high school aspect of it in some sense. Because they're the people you see
every day,
40 hours a week.
Yeah.
Well, you still keep in touch with your other friends. And
I always joke, if Michelle died tomorrow, where's a guy like me gonna meet somebody? I had again, shout out to Wes. Thanks, buddy. You know what? I mean, him and Kim maybe set me up with somebody they know.
Yeah.
Slim Pickens. Oh, all right. Well, then definitely not calling out to Wes for the hookup. But right, I mean, I'd be app based. I probably have to call you and be like, coffee and a bagel, Tinder, or like, what am I using? Bumble? How does a middle-aged man that's looking to do something out there do? And I wouldn't have a clue.
I am not a great person to ask about that because I'm like batting, like I'd be out of the MLB at this point with my percentage on how that's going. So.
That's all right. You can be responsible. You can take care of your own needs.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I can certainly do that.
I got a great story, and he'll probably kill me that I'm going to put it on air, but I don't care. So, you've only listened to episode 1. Yes, Scotty doesn't know.
Yeah.
So I sit down on the second episode and talk to my nephew. He's gone to Pfeiffer University in North Carolina to play lacrosse. Ooh. So Division III school.
Yeah.
But right, you know what? He's getting a little bit of a ride, not the full ride, but enough. And I reached out to him there. We're actually going to touch base with him down there and do this.
Yeah.
But from him at his end and me at my end and see how things are going.
Yeah.
But I reached out to him. I'm like, how are things? He's like, I very much underestimated the girl thing. And I'm like, how so? And he's like, he says it's like 30-1 guys to girls. And he's like, so there's like 30 guys macking on every girl. I said, oh, so you don't need me to send like a case of condoms in your next care package? And he's like, I think I'd be better off with a pocket pussy and lube.
Like, I love it.
So, yeah, he'll hate that I said that, but right.
That's fine.
I don't care. What's
he gonna do? Come back here and get you?
Yeah, he could. I mean, by the time this episode airs, I'm sure he's not listening to every episode. Uh-huh. That's fantastic.
Hey, thanks for joining us on Scotty's Journey. Don't forget to like and follow us on Facebook and Instagram. And join us next time when Scotty tries to learn something new, because Scotty doesn't know. Scotty Doesn't Know is a Songcast production.